Hello, 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 everyone. It's me, Dr. KSD, and
It's me, Phillip, the boss. Okay.
that was the best we could come up with.
Now I'm here.
All right, yes,
I
you
am
are.
here
You're here for number two.
for number two.
Thank you, dear.
I thought she had done scratched me from the last event
No,
podcast.
so it's just been busy.
Yeah, I know.
It's been busy, but
But you've
here
been
we
doing
are.
your thing.
Mm,
I am here.
I'm glad you are. So we had to get to part two because we did not finish. Remember, we started part one of Do Christians Really Believe in God and Heaven?
Hmm. Yeah.
So we didn't get to do the end. So I really want us to get to the end because I feel like we had some good points to bring up
Okay.
that we didn't get to. But the first part was really good.
Awesome.
So I expect for this to be good as well.
Well, that's why I'm here.
All right. So I guess we just gonna get to it, right?
Hey, let's just jump in.
All right. So for those of you who are just joining us, thank you so much for your time. But listen, don't forget, click that subscribe button. And when you click it, don't forget, once we're finished with our podcast, please like it and leave us a comment.
Yes. We need the likes and we need the comments.
Well, need. Well, I guess it's a need.
Hey.
It's a need only because I really believe that the message that we have is a really good message that
Right.
needs to
Right.
be spread, not just throughout our nation, but really throughout the world. Um, Christianity is under attack.
It really is right now.
Yeah, and I believe that God is calling more of us as Christians to, as Jasmine Crockett likes to say, we need to stand 10 toes down
Yep.
on the word of God. Um, but we can't do it quietly. You know, there's been this thing in the Christian environments where we just need to pray about it. We just need to pray about it. And ever since I was younger, it always irked me, really, because we need to do more than pray. Nehemiah in the Bible, when Nehemiah was rebuilding the walls, he was on the wall building, but he also had a sword in his other hand fighting off people.
Hmm.
You know, God calls for us not just to build, not just to do his will, but we have to stand firm on his word. And we can't do that quietly because I feel like one of the biggest issues we have in this world right now is that the loud people, the people who are the wrong,
Hmm.
the wrongest, the people who are the most wrong, the people who are not doing the right thing, they are the loudest people.
Well, coming up, I always remember, the older folks talk. I am the older guy now, but you never discuss politics or religion.
Mhm.
So that's one of the conversations that we always had. Hey, we don't discuss religion because there's always an argument comes up with
Mhm.
religion, especially if you're not a person that knows the word,
Okay.
reads the Bible.
Okay. Well,
You
that is
know,
a problem
so
then.
that is a problem.
Okay. So, but the answer is not just avoid the word.
Exactly,
The
exactly.
answer in that case would be that you need to be spending time in your word so you can study to show yourself approved, like the word of the Lord says.
I do understand, and I will do better.
My other problem with don't talk about religion and politics is it's a trick of the devil. It's something that the devil has subtly inserted into our lives, into our societies,
Hmm.
where don't discuss it because it's going to lead to arguments.
Right, right, right.
But if we don't discuss it, how are we going to spread the word of God? How do we help people understand that their way of thinking may not necessarily be the right way of thinking? Because think about that. If you don't discuss it, we had that conversation not too long ago.
Mhm.
Remember, you said the guy asked you, what do you think about, I think it was something in politics.
Right.
And you said,
Don't discuss politics. Now don't discuss religion.
and my response was, this was a perfect opportunity for you to impart some good knowledge to that young man.
But you see, the problem with that is, if I would have, then he might have get, kind of loud. Not on my part. The stuff that I would say might have upset him, and of course, what he say might have upset me. So now our friendship is kind of
Mm,
rocky.
okay,
So I rather, hey, I leave it alone instead of bad blood, because we had to work together.
okay. So, what if you and the same guy,
Mm-hmm.
y'all are sitting there waiting to do your to go and do your game, and he says, "Hey, I just saw your wife's podcast. Man, she got some messed up views. What's wrong? She sick in the head, or she got problems? Well, you don't get your wife under control. Now what? We not having that discussion? Or you gonna let
No, that's different. That's
that
different.
man?
That is different.
Why is it different? You see, that's the problem.
That's the
People,
problem. I just say that's different
I'm
because
just
that's
saying.
disrespect. Now you're not gonna disrespect my wife.
Okay, but you're gonna let them disrespect God?
No,
Or you
no,
go,
no, no. I'm not gonna let him disrespect God,
mm-hmm,
but I'm gonna shut him down, quick, fast, and a hurry.
okay, that's
I'm
all I'm
just saying, hey, I'm just saying. That's just the way I was, brought up. But I know
mhm,
a lot of things that we were brought up to believing is not the right way.
that bingo. That is the point. The point that I need for people to understand is traditions. Traditions are killing us. We we believe, or we've been made to believe, that traditions are so important. Traditions are how we should move forward in life. It was done this way, we should continue
Right,
on
right.
with that. Except the problem is, we should be ever evolving. Every time God puts somebody new on this earth, He has put us here for a reason and a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
A purpose. There's no reason for us to create another bed, right? We don't need somebody coming in as a bed maker, because we already know how to make beds.
Mm-hmm.
Or we don't need somebody coming in to design a car. We already have cars. You understand what I'm saying? God is not creating people to come to do the same old thing that they've been doing.
Right, right, right,
You understand
right.
what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? We are created for a purpose. And we are created for a purpose, which means that that purpose is a thing that has never been done before. Our job is to figure out what that thing is.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not meant to do the same old thing over and over and over again. But that's what we end up doing. We come here and we get put into this whole little fitted mold that the people want us in.
We're comfortable.
Well, yeah.
We're comfortable. You've been doing the same thing over and over and over
Mhm.
again, so you get comfortable with it.
Yep.
Hey, change is tough.
It is tough.
Change is tough.
It is. So you said comfortable. I call it something else.
Relaxed.
No, no, I don't call it relaxed. I call it coward.
Oh, man, boy, sparks fly. Hey, I ain't now. I tell you, hey, but I like to know what I'm talking about. So that's why you got to do your homework. You have to study. You have to read. You have to
Yes.
read. You know
Study to show thyself approved.
exactly.
You can't talk about anything that you
That
don't know about, right?
because you
That's
can
what.
wing it,
Mhm.
but people gonna know when you're winging it.
True.
You know.
Very true. So when we get back to religion and politics,
Mm-hmm.
this is the thing. Politics affects us. It affects all minorities.
Mm-hmm.
And because it affects minorities, it will affect everybody else. We've taken this stance that if it's not happening in our front yard or at our doorstep, then it doesn't involve us.
Right.
When in essence, if we don't deal with the fire that's happening down the street,
Oh, it's
the
coming.
fire will eventually get to us.
Mm-hmm.
That is where we are today. Because those problems that we're seeing in this world, yes, they keep getting closer and closer to where we are. Politics is important because politics affects us. All
Mm-hmm.
the stuff that's going on in our world today, it's meant to take rights away from minorities and, well, and I was going to say and women, but women are considered minorities as
Right.
well.
Right.
That is a big deal. And anybody in this nation who loves God should be concerned about that. You know, the whole Sodom and Gomorrah, you know the story of Sodom and
You
Gomorrah?
know.
So Sodom and Gomorrah are the cities where Lot and his wife were living. This is Abraham's nephew Lot. And it was so sinful in Sodom and Gomorrah that God was like, he sent the angel of death to just to wipe it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I believe, I can't remember. I believe that the angel is talking to Abraham, saying like, I'm about to wipe it out. And he's like, no, don't wipe it out. Surely, there are good people there. And so the angel is like, show me 100 good people and I won't do it. But he couldn't find 100. So the angel said, okay, show me 50. He couldn't show, okay, show me 10. Couldn't show him, okay, show me one.
Wow.
He could not find a single person that was worth saving there. So he ends up wiping it out. He allows him to get Lot out of there, but Lot's wife, he says, don't look back. Don't look back. And Lot's wife turns back and then she ends up turning into a pillar of ash. But we have we have people here who are good.
Mm-hmm.
We have people here that deserve to be treated fairly. When you look at Sodom and Gomorrah, the word of the Lord says that God did not destroy Sodom and Gomorrah because of homosexuality and just promiscuity, just living like that. He destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah because they did not protect the oppressed, the widowless, the widows, and the fatherless. What do we see today? People who do not care
Right.
about the oppressed, about the widow, about the fatherless. Those are things that we need to be talking about.
Right. Right.
And again, I think the devil has done a great job of saying there should be separation of state and religion because
Wow. Whoa.
because when you say that, if we're not talking about it,
Mm-hmm.
if we keep religion out, and and we're talking about real religion, we're
Right.
talking
Right.
about Christianity, love for God. That's what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If we are not talking about that in the political arena, then people are not held accountable and people are not even made to feel conviction because we're not even talking about it. So it allows people to live in the dysfunction or omission, right? If it's not talked about, if all that's omitted, then okay, I really didn't know, but yes, you really know at heart. though everything is intertwined.
Hmm.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna just say something else. Let me hear me clearly. The Bible does not say anything about separation of religion and state. That is a man-made thing, or rather a devil. Okay.
Hmm.
So anyway, but those are strongholds. Traditions are strongholds. And those are the same things that interfere with people when they're grieving. Because we try and grieve in traditional
Right.
ways. Tradition has no
Because it's
business.
so, I guess, makes you kind of relaxed. It don't hurt as much in a
Hmm.
traditional way. It's supposed to, until it happens to you.
Yeah.
That's a difference. That's a major difference.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're saying that it's easy to follow tradition when you're not the one grieving.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
when you're talking to grievers,
Yeah.
you're saying all the traditional
The traditional
things.
things.
I've
Right.
got yes,
Right.
because that was me.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Saying all those,
Yeah.
you're in a
Myself.
better place.
Myself. I was the same way.
Trust God, trust the process. Look, they got a new body, all of that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, when it happened to us, it was a whole different. But you know what was crazy for me? When my mom passed away, I really felt that way.
Hmm.
I really felt like she has a new body. You know, my mom
Hmm.
had cancer, and I just knew she was in heaven with her new body, dancing again,
Hmm.
cutting up and having fun. Um, but when Papa died,
That was totally different.
that was so
Yeah.
different. And the thing is, one of the first things we want to talk about, or I want us to discuss, is how Christians recover from loss. Because tradition has said that Christians, you know, you should have a quick recovery. So whatever the loss is, including the death of a loved one,
Hmm.
they expect the Christians, you know, to be back, you know,
Or who? Who expect that? Just
people
people?
in general.
Oh.
Because when Christians are back and I'm blessed and highly favored
Mm.
and they're just operating like nothing is wrong, they're like, oh, you see, they're so strong. See, they have a good relationship with God. And then you have the Christian who is still sad and
Yeah.
crying and they look depressed and defeated,
Hmm.
and they'll tell them stuff like, you're not praying enough, you're not close to God enough, you're not going to church enough.
Nobody told it to me. Nope. Better not.
Well, you know what? I don't. Hmm, I, I I don't think people are that vicious, but they.
Oh, they got some vicious people.
Well, I think that a lot of times they don't necessarily say it to the person,
Yeah.
but they will
Right.
say it behind their
Right.
backs.
Right. Right.
But that's what they're thinking. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because that was one of the things that actually got me started with doing what we're doing now. Because one of one of the girls that I am acquainted with, she lost her daughter,
Mm.
and she would post on Facebook often. You know, I'm having a horrible day. Why my child? Like just randomly, she would just put something up. And I'm actually what person I don't like reading comments because
Right.
I
Right.
normally
Right.
get upset with some of the things people say. So, but
But what are one of the things that you told her? You know, what
well,
kind of comfort that you gave her?
so the comfort came from when she put that on. I normally put things like, I'm praying for you.
Hmm.
I'm here for you. Inbox me anytime. If you know they have my phone number, I'll tell them, please call me. I'm here to talk. I have an ear, because some people just need you to have an ear. They need
Right.
to just
Right.
get it off their chest, and don't necessarily need for you to say anything back. They just need somebody to vent to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go online and I'll put, under their post, I'm praying for you. I am here for you.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happened that day that I happened to see the other things under there. And that's where I saw you need to pray more. You need to go to
Wow.
church. And the thing is, from their perspective, I know
They mean well.
they meant well,
Yep. Yep.
yes. They weren't trying to hurt her. And I think that had Papa not been gone already, I maybe would not have seen it as offensive.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was reading it, it was so offensive because I'm
Right.
thinking, like, no, no, none of this has anything to do with God. You hurt because you miss your loved one.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are a parent who has lost a child, you're never ready for that.
Right.
Never.
Right.
It just seems so unfair and unnatural. I think that was the difference. I didn't feel like this when my mom passed, because to me it was the natural order of life.
Mm-hmm.
As Christians, we know we have a death date. There's no getting around that.
Right.
So my mom passing, it hurt, but I wasn't grieved, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know you don't understand what I'm talking about, because your parents are still here.
Yeah.
But your grandmother, you told me
Mm-hmm.
you were close with your grandmother,
Right.
and which you said you were working.
Yeah, I was working offshore and I got a phone call saying, hey, you need to get up and call home because your grandmother died. But I was sleeping and I was
Mm.
like, what?
Oh, so
Grandmother died?
they just said your grandmother
Yeah,
died?
your grandmother died.
Okay, so hold up before you go on. You see, that's a prime example of what I mean, which is one of the other points, that the second point actually.
Mm-hmm.
There's no comparison when it comes to people's experiences with a loss,
Right.
because two people may experience the same thing,
Totally different.
but the
Mm-hmm.
the loss feels completely different. So whoever told you that, they may have lost their grandmother before, but it didn't matter, because they might not have been close with their
Right.
grandmother.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
The grandmother definitely didn't mean to them what your grandmother meant to you.
Exactly.
And I have to say that that person had to have lost their grandparent, because we typically are not gonna be that insensitive
Right.
about stuff. Like if we haven't experienced the loss, we at least in our mind can say, "Ooh, man, look, call home. They said it's urgent." But I feel like for them to just blurt that out, they just
Yeah.
maybe lost their grandparent and it was whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened?
Well, after that, I got up, finally. I, well, it was like cobwebs because I was sleeping. When he told it to me, it was like a dream. And I woke up, told it to me again, and I was working offshore. I was in off field
Mhm.
on a rig. Call, call home. They told me what happened, and so I called my office and told them that I'm coming in. My grandmother passed. I need to come in now. Well, they pretty much, well, we got to find relief. Uh, you can't come in until we find relief. And I told them, hey, first thing smoking, I was, I'm leaving. Talked to the company man. He said, man, you need to get off the rig because I see the condition you're in. So,
Because you definitely didn't need to be
right,
working
yeah,
with heavy
exactly.
machinery
So I,
in a state of distress.
first thing came in, a chopper came in, got on chopper, came on in, called the office, told them I'm on my way home. And so the guy who told me that my grandmother passed, he hadn't called the office and said I walk off the job. Yeah.
Oh, well, he was really,
Yeah, he was
really
yeah,
a donkey.
exactly. So the company man said, man, you cannot walk off the job. Not the company man,
Mhm.
my supervisor said, you can't walk off the job. Man, You need to come straight to the office. I said, I'm not coming to the
Mhm.
office. I said, I can bring all my gear to the office,
What you say?
but I'm going
You
home.
can
My
have your
grandmother just
stuff.
passed. Right, exactly. And I was, of course, I was feeling some type of way. Yeah,
Completely insensitive.
exactly.
Everybody was insensitive.
So he said, man, look, just take some time off, see about your family, because he saw the mode, the mode I was in, the mood I was in. You
Mhm.
know, it was like, hey, y'all can
Yeah.
take your job. This
Because
is
you know
this
what?
is my family. This is
Exactly.
my grandmother. You know what I mean?
You
And it's
drew a
like
line.
exactly
You drew a line. And that's the thing. For every job, those employers, their concern is that their job gets done.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
If you are not there, no matter how much stress, distress, no matter how many numbers of hours you work per week, no matter how loyal
Doesn't
you have
matter.
been,
Doesn't
it
matter to
does
them.
not matter because at the end of the day, if you are not there, they're going to find somebody else.
They'll find two or three people to do your
Exactly.
job, that one
Exactly.
person's job,
That's right.
and they're gonna pay these people as much as they're paying you per
Or
person.
more.
Per
Oh,
person.
exactly. Yes, exactly. So you have to look out for you and you need to do what's
Yes.
right for you. So good for
Yes.
you for taking that stance.
Yeah.
But there's so many people who don't understand. So point number two is no two experiences are the same.
Right.
We can even say that when it comes to Papa,
Mm-hmm.
because he was both of our son, but my relationship with him was different from your relationship with
Right.
him.
Right.
I mean, for me and Papa, it was all cuddles and love and, I love you, mommy. And it was just me nurturing that sweet,
Mm-hmm.
pure side of him. Your relationship was all the fun and the building up the boy and
You're making him a dog.
and
Yeah.
and he
Yeah. Yeah.
spent time with both of us. It was just different.
Right.
So while we both were grieving, it was different. We felt different.
Yeah.
And I know it also felt different because you were there and I was not there. Because like for me, it was, the whole thing leading up. You know how it took me a long time to even say that Papa called me and I didn't answer the phone because I was in a meeting. Because I felt like if I would have answered the phone, if I would have answered the phone, I'd have been fussing like, you didn't even go to school today. Y'all need to go back. You know, it's it's just it's so many different things that are out of our control. We we do a lot of beating ourselves up with hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to you about that before because you were like, I shouldn't have been on that road or like, but we make decisions based on the information we have at that time.
Right.
We don't, well, yeah, if you knew somebody would have been reckless on the road, well, yeah, you're gonna
Wouldn't
avoid,
know.
but
Yeah. Wouldn't know. Phone.
we don't have those points, though, that knowledge. We don't get that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say to every griever out there, every person who has lost a loved one, especially parents who have lost their children, you have to stop blaming yourself. You can't you cannot allow the devil to keep you in that prison of guilt because all it's doing is keeping you from your purpose. That's all. It's a trick. It's a trick to keep you in bondage because as long as you're in bondage, you can't live. That's all it
Yeah.
is. We have to break those chains. All right,
And that's a
so
change that's hard to break. It's
it's
hard.
hard. It's hard to break alone for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to
Alone.
break
Alone.
alone. Yeah. Um, the third point we want to talk about as far as traditions are concerned is how Christians respond emotionally to loss. Because see, that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's people expect Christians to not be sad?
Why?
Because it's this made up thing. Because it's this made up, man made view of what a Christian is supposed to look like. You know, if you have a relationship with God, then you shouldn't be depressed or sad. And that's all false. That's all, again, things that the devil has inserted into our minds, into our thought processes.
Hmm.
Those things are not true. Because how can a Christian be exempt from pain? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're saying that's made up. Because, I mean, I'm a Christian. You're a Christian. And, man, the pain, the hurt, the disappointment, it was real. I
Hmm.
could tell you from experience, man. It's like, I mean, I still go through it today.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I still have my moments where, it hits me and I get emotional. And, it's might be 5, 10, 15 minutes, you know,
hmm,
and after that, yeah, it just goes away. But I still get it,
yeah.
you know.
I think we're gonna get it forever
Oh yeah,
until we
no doubt,
are
no
until
doubt.
we're reconciled
Yep,
with him.
yep.
Because how do you stop missing people you love?
Right.
That's the problem is being physically disconnected.
Yeah.
That's the problem. But that doesn't go away unless I wake up one morning and figure out it was a dream.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Then, oh yeah, it's gonna happen. I call it the emotional roller coaster because you really, from one minute to the next, don't know what that emotion might
Yeah.
be. You know, and a lot of people go through it, but a lot of people stay in it because there are certain things that are put on Christians that should not be put on them by society. Society tells Christians that this is how you are supposed to act.
You stop and think. You know, at our age,
Hmm.
if you look back at the people that has passed away that we know,
Hmm.
we may know more people that passed away than that's still around. Not you because of your profession,
Hmm.
but the average person know at our age know more people that passed away, close friends,
Yeah. I mean, the
relatives.
older we get, yeah.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
this is the
So,
thing.
so what I'm saying is, you get to a point where you kind of get numb to it because you know it's going to
Mm,
happen. Eventually, it's going to happen. It's going to happen
yeah,
to us,
yeah.
but the difference with happening to us, prayerfully compared to Papa, it was a tragic,
Sudden,
sudden.
yeah, and
Yeah,
out of order.
exactly,
It's out of the
exactly.
order that
So there's a
we,
difference between your
yeah,
mom passing. My,
that's right.
even my grandmother, she was perfect. She wasn't sick at all. Watched baseball games and all kind of stuff that she did, and all of a sudden you get a phone call that
Yeah, yeah. What happened?
a sudden,
Why?
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it hits home totally different.
So when your grandmother passed, what did that look like in your family? Like, how did your parents deal with it? Did
Oh,
wait, hold up. Does it look like what it looked like with us and Papa passing?
it the initial, it was tough. It was hard. Everybody, because like I said, she was in great shape and you know everything was great, and it was like a sudden.
Hmm.
But the difference with Papa was Papa was young and he
Yeah,
was our baby,
yeah,
and
yeah,
he just had a life to live.
yeah,
My
yeah.
grandmother, she was in her 70s or 80s,
Hmm.
and she lived a great life.
So this is my question. My question is, which is, I hear what you're saying because that's exactly how I felt about my mama.
Right.
She had lived her life.
Mm-hmm.
She lived. So I mean, My mama had no regrets. I had
Right,
no regrets
right, right,
because,
right.
you know, we did everything,
Hmm.
so there were no regrets. But let me ask it differently. What did grief look like to you as you were growing up? Like if people passed away in your family or if something did not go right, how did you see your parents deal with it?
More to me, more traditionally. Of course, they grieved right away. You know, for a week or two, and eventually, it's just we all have to pass away.
Then, yep, then life goes
Life
on.
goes on. Life goes on.
Mhm.
And the older you get, that's how I feel. You're gonna
Mhm.
grieve on a person passing away, and then all of a sudden, a week later, man, life goes on. It
Mhm.
don't. Time stops for no one.
Yeah.
So everything is just keep going, and it's up to you to deal with it, get over it. And the first thing people have, hey
Mhm.
man, get over it, move
Mhm.
on.
And so the problem with that is unexpressed emotions.
Hmm.
So we go through these horrible life experiences and we don't have the right tools to actually properly express what we are feeling.
Hmm.
And those unexpressed emotions stay with us until we learn how to express it, or it stays in here and slowly transforms us into different people. Subtly, but still,
Hmm.
we might be more standoffish. We may be less um, tolerant, more irritable, or snappy,
Hmm.
um, more likely to, I guess, more likely to just be a little distant, not carefree and loving life as before.
Hmm.
Because death, when you don't deal with those things, it does make you leery and it
Oh
does
yeah, no
make
doubt.
you more standoffish because you're afraid of it happening again, especially when it comes to death. I know, I know when Papa passed, I was fearful of JJ and Leah going anywhere. It's because it's like it like puts it right here in your face.
Hmm.
We all know we gotta die, yes, but when it's here, when it hits home, it makes you more aware of how fragile we are
Hmm.
and how at any moment it
Yeah,
could
it can
happen
happen. It
again.
can happen.
And it's scary. It's scary. So we're carrying that. We're carrying the pain that many of us didn't really know how to express. Those are all strongholds. And those are things that we bring with us traditionally that keep us in bondage and it keeps us from living the full life we're
All
created
right.
to live. And then you might have people who implode, they just don't want to go out anymore. They don't want to hang. They're more reserved. Like I said, they
Hmm.
might be more irritable. And then you have the flip side of it. You got the ones who are just doing everything.
Doing the most. Doing the
They're doing the
most.
most. They are clubbing, they're drinking, they're gambling, spending money. But those are all ways so they don't have to deal with the pain inside.
Right.
And that in and of itself is dangerous because it's not a healthy thing at all. But still, another way that tradition is a stronghold.
Yeah. One of my biggest fears was my dad. He's 89, about to be 90 in March, and I could always remember, him saying that he he want to live to be 85 years old. If I could live to be 85, that's a great age, and all this
Mhm.
yada yada. So he's doing really well, looking good, feeling good, doing everything, and he and that was one of my biggest fear of losing him. because I was always like, man, what I'm gonna do if something ever happened to my dad? Of course, my mom too,
Mhm.
but my dad
Because he
because
always talk about it.
right,
I think because
we
he
talk
always
about
talked
this,
about
and
that.
then me and him would always be together, always be together. So it was always my fear of what would happen if he passed, and then all of a sudden, Papa passed because Papa was his road dog. They was always together, you know.
Talk about.
So it was like I couldn't believe it, and now I realize, of course, as an adult, that it can happen to anybody. And when I see things happen, it's not like it used to be where I was like, man, why this happened and this and that. But
Mhm.
I know without a shadow of a doubt, anything can happen, and it can happen
Anything
real
at any
quick,
time.
real quick.
We
You
have
could be
no
with a person
control.
today, 5 minutes, and then all of a sudden,
A
a
minute
minute,
later, a
a minute
minute
later,
later.
stuff
Yeah.
happens, and
We
it's
have
reality.
no we have no control over life and death
No, we
at
don't.
all.
We don't. We don't.
And that's something to say, like when it comes to being a physician, I've had patients who are like, "Oh, you saved my life." Like, no, I did not.
Mm,
I can affect quality of life.
right.
I have no control over life and death. And any doctor that tries to act like they saved your life, no, they did not. No. The power of life and death is in God's hands,
Right.
in God's hands alone. We don't have control. Now I can control your quality of life,
Right.
but anyway,
That's another
that's
story.
for
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
That's for
Yeah.
another
Yeah.
day. Um, Another tradition is people not understanding that grief, sadness, and depression sometimes cannot just be healed or dealt with prayer, because there are some people who really believe, I just need to pray about it. I need to pray about it.
Yeah. I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot. Some people
And
don't want to take their medicine. They just want to pray.
they just want to pray. When God gives us a sound mind,
Mm-hmm.
you know what that sound mind is? Common sense.
Mm,
Common sense. Again, we're back to society.
mm-hmm.
Because I'm going to keep saying this over and over and over again, because people do not understand how much we have become slaves to the ways of society. Not anything that is scientifically proven, not anything that we have found in the Bible, but because he said or she
Mm-hmm.
said. One of the worst things that ever happened to us is public school training. And what I mean by that is, I read something that said in the 1920s,
Mm-hmm.
Rockefeller poured $129 million into the public school system. He said he wanted workers created, not thinkers. And when you think about it, what is school in general, especially public school? You're told when to sit, when not to sit, when you can go to the bathroom, when you can go to recess, when you can eat, when you can talk. You are told what to learn. And tests, all you do with testing is regurgitate what they have told you.
Mm-hmm.
There's no thinking involved. Memorization is not thinking. So, because we are not made to think, we are created to think, yes. God creates us with a mind to think. But then we get into the public school system, and then our thinking is suppressed. Every which way you can think, we are not, you go and try and tell the teacher, yeah, but what about,
Oh, they should have
you
done.
get it
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
wrong,
Yeah.
you know, and it's made for us to only learn what we are told to learn. Hence, the world we have today,
Mm-hmm.
where people cannot use the sound mind that God gave them. It's the thing that has healthcare professionals who had to take, that's what, let me look here. Healthcare professionals who had to take vaccines to get into medical school and nursing school. who all of a sudden don't want to take vaccines, or healthcare professionals who don't use masks because we don't know the long-term effects. What? What? You mean just be quiet for a minute. All right. So that's why you have all of these healthcare professionals talking about they don't know the long-term effects of a mask when surgeons and surgical techs have been wearing masks all day for years. Year for over a century for sure.
Mm.
It's we are not thinking. So what happens in our world today is whoever your greatest influencer is, you just follow
Right,
along with
right.
whatever that influencer says. We cannot allow society to dictate how we handle our losses. For each person, it's a different experience.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go through something that you have gone through before, you cannot expect me to handle it the way you handled it, because my experience, even though it's the same type of incident, how it made me feel is different. And that's what people don't understand. It's not so much what happened, it's how it made you feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're holding on to. So if we have the same experience and it makes me feel horrible, but it made you feel, I mean, it ain't no big deal. Well, we're going to handle it differently.
Right, right.
That's what people don't understand. Yes, you've gone through the same thing, especially when it comes to death. People, the other thing with comparison is people know we lost our son, and then they might come and say something like, yeah, I know how you feel because when I lost my mama,
Totally different. Totally.
yeah, it's one of them things that be making me want to boot
Mm-hmm.
up,
Mm-hmm.
because that is not the same. Because I've lost my mama. I did not feel like that when I lost my mama at all. So it's understanding that you are an individual with a brain. Grief, sadness, depression, you can't just pray about it just because somebody else did it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they said they got over it, but did they really get over it?
Right.
I mean, especially in church, because you have to wonder. In church, you find some of the nastiest people. You know, they just got a nasty
Yeah.
attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta wonder, like, where did nasty attitude come from? You're not born with it. You know what's happened? They've had some experiences that did
Mm-hmm.
not feel good, that have molded them into that person. But they've never dealt with the emotions. Those emotions are still in here wreaking havoc, making them one of the nastiest persons representing the good Lord.
Tradition.
But okay, yes,
Bad
and that's
tradition.
horrible
Yeah,
tradition.
you
You
know.
know why it's horrible even more so? Because we see it.
Yeah.
Why we still let
But
these
we see it and
people?
they don't.
But it's not so much that because most people don't see the things that's wrong with them.
Right.
It's easy for us to, the Bible says, before you try to get the splinter out of your brother's eye, please get the plank out of your own.
Right. Right.
Okay. It's easy for us to see what's wrong with somebody else. I don't mean that though. What I mean is everybody else in the church sees that sister so and so is nasty.
But nobody want to open their
But
mouth and say
why
anything.
nobody says
Right,
anything?
exactly.
Because the Bible tells us that we are supposed to go to our brother or our sister when we see that they're doing something that's wrong, that is
Mm-hmm.
out of the will of God. And if they don't receive it from us, now we're supposed to go get a witness and come back and tell them again. And if they don't receive it from you and the witness, now we need to go get the pastor and
Mm.
come back. And because the thing is, I believe God is going to hold us accountable for not saying. Now, and look, don't get me wrong. We're not talking about judging.
Mm-hmm.
That's not judging. This is accountability.
What if somebody don't want to take accountability?
Well, that's okay. You went and they don't want to be accountable.
Okay, they don't want
The,
to be accountable, but then you go and get somebody
the
else.
Bible says go get a witness
Okay,
and
you go
come
get a
back with it.
witness. Now they still don't want to take it, or they
Okay.
get real
Now,
upset.
now we go get the pastor.
Okay.
And if they still don't want, the Bible says that if people don't want to receive the good news,
Mm-hmm.
then you are to leave that place and dust shake the dust off your feet, off your body, and you move on. Because now we have done what the Bible told
I
us
got
to
you.
do.
I got you.
Because this is all about our salvation,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right.
It's all about our salvation. Um, and then the other thing, the last point number 5 is Christians and their hidden anger towards God. Because, see, bad things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, any kind of loss. Maybe you were up for a promotion and you got looked over. Maybe you lost your job and you lost your home and your
Mm-hmm.
vehicles. Maybe you got a divorce, or maybe you had to deal with the loss of a loved one. There are so many people who become angry at God
Mm-hmm.
because that happened to them.
Speaking on my behalf, when it happened to me and Papa, of course I questioned God. Not of course, but I questioned God. I questioned
Mhm.
Him. I was upset with Him. I was upset with God because I was more like, why would you take Papa from us? Why would you do that? Why would you put us in that wreck? You know, I faulted Him for what happened because we did everything the right way. Being that so many people do things the wrong way, but we prayed, we went to church, we did everything we could have,
Yeah.
and this happened. And so I questioned Him. I always believed in Him, but I questioned Him on why
Mhm.
why would He do it? You know,
Mhm. Did you
and
tell anybody that?
I did. I told the pastor.
Oh, good.
I told the pastor
Okay.
about it. But the pastor I had at the time, he went through kind of the same situation, which his son was older than Papa. And he told me that he did the same.
Before we go, before we go any further,
Mm-hmm.
we want to remember we got some good merch.
Hey, hey.
Look, we were created. Look, live life with purpose, on purpose. Yes. And look, my purpose is greater than your pettiness. Because
All right.
people, we get caught up with pettiness. We get caught up with the ways of society. Society says, let your flesh loose.
Mm-hmm.
If they tell you A, you better tell them B. If they clap on you, you better clap back. Girl, preserve your peace.
Please.
Preserve your peace. Do not allow your flesh to get caught up in the foolishness. But if you are looking for some good merch, t-shirts, we have also, look, Escaping the Chains of Grief. This book was birthed out of the pain that I had. And this is a testament that our pain is not supposed to break us. We're supposed to use our pain to fuel our purpose. Because again, Romans 8 and 28, all things work together for the good. God took that pain that I was going through and gave birth to this book. And this book is not just about the grief you feel from losing a loved one. This book is about any kind of loss you have experienced in your life that is keeping you from living the full life that you were created to live. Because you were meant to impact somebody's life. This book is how you escape those chains. Every single loss you have experienced in your life is a chain that is keeping you in bondage. This is the key to breaking the chains so you can be free and you can live that full life you were created to live. And so you can go out and impact lives. We were created for a purpose. Live life with purpose on purpose. And last, listen, this 21-day empowerment journal. Embrace your uniqueness and recognizing your strengths. This is a 21-day guided journal. It leads you literally day by day, giving you some different things that you need to do so that you can break free, so that you can actually take a moment to realize why God created you. You. Because you see, we get caught up with what our parents have told us and what society has told us. Because, see, because you were smart, you need to go be a doctor or a lawyer. But in your heart, God created you to nurture. God might have created you to be creative, to sing, to draw, to go out and do something completely different than what society and your family said. What they said don't matter at all. We need to figure out, why did God create you? And this journal leads you through all the steps that you need, even to the point that we creating a vision board, because the Bible tells us in Malachi, not in Malachi, and Habakkuk, write the vision, make it plain. What God has put here and here, that's what you should be pursuing. And listen, don't let anybody convince you that just because you have a passion for something, that's not how you're going to make money. I promise you, if God gave you a purpose, that purpose is what you should be living, because there is not a single amount of money, not even millions of dollars, that is going to make you happy. Happiness, joy, peace, and love. You can't buy those things. But if you pursue your purpose, I promise you, all of those things will come along with it. So, this is where you need to be. We are only in February.
Yes.
February, it is still early in 2025, baby. Get your journal today so that you can figure out where you belong, what you need to be doing, and so you can keep yourself on the path that God has created for you. And it's okay. It's okay if you took the wrong path, because guess what? I am a firm believer. If I was on the wrong path, you better believe I turned my butt around and I went find the right path. And so, all right, in closing, remember this: you were created for a purpose. You were created to impact lives all around you. Your pain does not negate or void your purpose. Let your pain fuel your purpose, because you are purposed for greatness. And with that, we are going to say peace and love and favor. See y'all next time. All right. Right, Tree.
You the one, baby. You the one,
Good
baby.
job, baby. Good job.